Next speaker is a very special guest. هنشيل بس الكراسي. هي special guest بالنسبة لي علشان أنا اشتغلت في شركة وهي كانت في الشركة دي قبل ما أنا أروح، وكان بالنسبة لي ليجند. بنسمع الاسم إيمان النشار كانت موجودة عندنا في الشركة وكنا بنعمل. I would like you to give a very 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 big round of applause please. Director of Extra, Director of E-commerce at Extra, Iman Elnashar. Thank you.
والله وانا اللي thank you. يعني first of all before anything I would like really a round of applause to Product Plus والعمر والزمر for this organization and for bringing the community together.
Thank you, Ems. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Thank you so much. It's always a great thing and احنا connect مع product community, so thank you for giving us this chance.
Thank you so much. Oops.
طيب قولوا لي لو صوتي بعيد عن المايك علشان I'm usually not that comfortable in public speaking. طيب this topic النهارده I hope that it's relatable to you as much as it's relatable to me. First of all ثانية واحدة. زمور. واحدة. طيب first of all brief background عني. أنا إيمان حمدي. I've been like working now for around 16 years, 10 of which for Vodafone, 3 of which for Prdkt, 3 of which now and still for Extra. I've been through a very long journey. I started my way in the product من وأنا صغيرة قوي لحد ما كانت الدنيا جديدة جدا علينا في ال product community. And I grew. I've had a lot of chances. I'm very grateful to all the companies that I worked for. And one of the things that I did on the side is actually understanding more about life coaching and psychology, بس على surface level. I was never that هتديني واحدة صح؟ ماشي. ما تعمقتش في psychology قوي، بس ال experience بتاعتي في life coaching journey علمتني 2 things. علمتني how people react to certain things based on what they feel and based on what they experienced. وعلمتني أكتر how people receive things differently. And this is actually was very inspiring بالنسبة لي. إزاي أنا ممكن أتحط في experience معينة أتلقاها بشكل مختلف عن حد تاني مر بنفس ال experience. It's all related to the human psychology and how our brains are wired. I tried as much as possible to integrate this to everything I do in my life and also in my job. We built front-facing customer experiences now for around 6 years, 10 years, something of that sort. So we try as much as possible to integrate what the customer will feel when we do something, or when a friction, or when they come أصلاً feeling anxious or nervous or angry or happy for any other reason. So today I'm sharing with you some some psychological events that actually impacts a lot how customer receives the front-facing experiences that is digital. All my content today, credits الأول, all my content today is really, really inspired by this source. This source is an amazing source. It's built from Mars. Peter Ramsey, المختلف قوي في الsource ده, that it's really carefully crafted and researched by الراجل ده. How he articulated all the articles and the researches and the case studies himself. It's extremely inspiring. And also he integrated this with the psychology of us, of human beings. And this is why the title of today, هو إنه the digital experiences that we build are actually created by us for us. We are human beings, regardless of the technologies and regardless of the advancements of the technologies, we are still human beings. ومرة our own CEO سألنا سؤال قال لنا, where do you think that the human beings are lagging in advancement? فكلنا سألنا أسئلة, we all suggested things, and then his answer was very simple. We are not advancing as much in psychology. We are advancing in science, in math, in growth, in metrics. We all educated ourselves into the metrics of the product, the growth of it, the e-commerce metrics, the conversion rates, the unit economics, the growth metrics, and so on, we didn't as much put effort, or at least some of us didn't as much put effort into understanding how the human evolves in their feelings and their own psychology among all of these changes. And this is why I'll start with the السؤال المشهور. Chatbots, do they make you happy or they make you feel, meh, مش another robot, yet another robot? So with a show of hands كده, مين أول ما بيشوف chatbot بيطلع له they feel happy? I didn't expect one بصراحة. I expected some, but I didn't expect one. طيب, why so? It's we always say that it is a matter of a one-sided revolution. Chatbots are really advancing in their algorithms and in the tech and in the engines that are being built, not as much on who are they built for, with the human beings that are coming to this front-facing experiments. What do they feel? What do they need? What emotion do they carry while I'm presenting for them this chatbot? So it's great for businesses, not sometimes, a lot of times, annoying for human beings. في كده some this is not clear, ده عادي chatbot من انتركم. واحد بيسأل أسئلة basic فبتطلع له طبعا المشهد ده اللي هي some default answers. And then what really, this is what the customers see, what they really feel, إن أنا كhuman being now I need to go into this maze لحد ما أعرف أكلم حد دلوقتي because I need support. So this is what really the customer feels. And لحد ما they really lose it. They want to tell someone, I need to talk to someone. I'm really lost. And then بدأت بقى الانتركم in specific and the chatbots in general to integrate also technologies. So intercom, this is an example of them integrating with ChatGPT. You'll find this by impression is a very wealthy answer, very rich in words. لسؤال صغير قوي بيقول what is the price of intercom? What is the price of intercom? So this is very lengthy. So the impression of it إنه okay, this kid has all the information that I need to know. It's missing out on the currency. It's missing out on basic information that the customer really needs to know. Whereas لو human being هو اللي رد على customer in this very specific scenario كان هيرد عليه link to the pricing. That's it. هو customer in this case عايز يعرف معلومة واحدة. So the highlight here is that according to the event, design either for automation or design for optimization. You don't have only to design for integrating bots or ChatGPT and that's it, and give the impression that you're technically sophisticated. Sometimes you don't need that. Sometimes the customer really needs something else. Most of the time, if not all the time, AI is AI. They don't know when it's wrong and they don't know when it's stuck. So we as product team and experience team, we need to design where is the blockage, when the blockage will come, and we always give clear exit routes to the customers easily, but just in time. So it's a sweet spot between finding the optimization in the tech and finding when really the customer will now feel anxious, and this will distort his journey with me as a product and sometimes with me as a brand. Amazon, on the other hand, is a very successful example for implementing the chatbots. They understand really that the customer, by pattern, most probably they will be asking about one of their historical products or their refund requests or their tracking requests. So this is the first thing that comes up. They're very relatable, they're very successful, and at the end of the day, they give the customer the clear answer. So this is not in general that all AI, it's not a general statement on the AI, it's about how to design it really from product and experience standpoint in a way that's relatable and مناسبة جدا للموقف اللي الكاستمر فيه دلوقتي, not for the business. And here, shifting a little bit to something interesting, you will be finding recently that even ChatGPT and here in Intercom, there is a little bit of animation or loading or thinking, something that indicates for the customer that something is being done. Although this is pure tech and pure automation and pure everything. And why so? This is basically a psychological thing. It is called labor illusion. Labor illusion is, by definition, that people simply associate value to effort. So this is some AI, some bots, a lot of them are now integrating this type of experiences to actually show the customers that they're doing effort for them and that the responses will be personalized. It's not bad. It's a tactic. So it's a tactic. It's very similar to the tactic that open kitchens in some restaurants show how their chefs are working. People associate value to effort. So this is psychologically gives them the feeling, okay, I will most probably like the food, or here I will most probably like the answer. This is another example of labor illusion. It's a pure psychological term, by the way. Netflix, they have the tech infrastructure to generate the recommendations for the customers instantly. But this loading indicator, and when the customer scrolls for some time, they actually tells the customer, gives them the feel that now we are selecting programs and films just for you. They're giving them an illusion of effort just for the sake of that the customer will trust that this is being done by effort. On the other hand, another very interesting approach is intentional friction, which is also very healthy sometimes when intended and when right in time. This is from Duolingo. Duolingo is a very successful product, by the way, from its experience standpoint and from the product design standpoint. So customers, they are very successful from the sense that customers really built the habit of using Duolingo. Some people use it 2 years and a strike. They have this gamification and they have this experience that actually makes people take it as a habit and as a commitment in their lives. So there are one example that integrates intentional friction. And by this means that, okay, the customer is now on a strike. The customer is doing a great job. I will actually interrupt the experience and tell them that they're doing a great job. Before they actually feel, okay, oh my God, this is 2 years. Oh my God, this has been a lot of time for me in Duolingo. It's about time for me to take a break. They're giving the break for them. So it's a very nice interruption here, wisely used and very healthy in their case. On the other hand, with a show of hands, كده, who use Teams? Who use Zoom? Who use Google Meet? Okay. So do you feel in general, if you use Teams, for the team who's using Teams, how do you feel with a meeting invitation that's coming to you with a Zoom link? Do you feel okay or anxious? Okay, raise a hand. Anxious, raise a hand. Okay, this is expected. Zoom is a very wary example about how they prioritize the adoption and the downloads over the customer experience by all means. And this is actually what we need to avoid as products people and experience people. We need to avoid this. So what happens here is that Zoom takes this chance while the customer is entering the meeting to mandate that they need to download the app, download the Zoom app, and actually very briefly hiding that you can actually launch it in a browser. The customer feels very anxious. It's the call is 1 minute away. I have a presentation. I can't be late. It's an important meeting, probably with guests because I'm not used to Zoom and I don't want to be late. And then you get all the questions that are related to accept all the cookies and then download all the app and then open all the permissions. And then all of this happens in a very time-sensitive situation. The highlight here, the customer who is experiencing this is anxious, is already prepared to do one thing now to present. And there's a lot of friction in a very sensitive time that is slowing the customer down from achieving what they want. So this is one of the examples, like when from acquisition standpoint, from adoption standpoint, looks like it's a very wise strategy. However, it is not done at the right time for the customers. Next up, anyone aware of decision fatigue or experience? Okay, it's basically that when we have a lot of options, we get tired or we lose it. Yeah. We just go away. So this is actually statistically proven from psychology standpoint that the lower the number of decisions that you have, the better the quality of the decision. The higher the decisions that you can have actually makes it worse. You have fatigue. So front-facing mobile applications or digital experiences, as an example, if we're talking about طلبات, someone who is hungry and there's a lot of decisions, or someone who wants to shop for the groceries. Also, they have a lot of options. And both, they use a very wise and popular strategy of reorder again, which is the recency bias. And the recency bias is basically people favor and feel more comfortable about their recent decisions. So they feel assured. If I want to get there, I will get there. If I get lost, I will get there. So this is assuring, right? So it's actually a psychological event that people favor recent events over historic ones. So this one was also a very interesting one. And a not so, at least from my own experience, navigation like Oishu actually makes me bounce, really, because the discovery gives me a lot of options and all the options are really broad. So at the end of the day, I just don't want to think about all of this now, so maybe I'll come back later. So this is, the two strategies that helps a lot in narrowing down the customer's choices and in order to help them convert. This is in online shopping experiences and in e-commerce in specific. There's also a psychological event that's called the serial position effect. And the serial position effect, scientifically proven, is that the customer always remembers the first thing that's being presented to them and the most recent thing that they bought earlier or they chose earlier. So in this list, the customer will actually recall the first and the last list items because it is designed as such. So in design, we need to be mindful that the customer will always remember the first thing, which is called the anchor effect, and they always remember the most recent thing, which is called the recency bias. And in the middle, you can set the less priority items that you want the customer to navigate to at a certain point in time. Also, why the reason behind online experiences use a lot of the default options for the customers is that there is also a psychological event that is called the default bias. And then because the customer subconsciously knows that decisions takes effort, so if I trust the product and I trust the brand, I will trust the default options and just go with the flow. This is where Amazon always promotes the online, the memberships, the Prime, and so on, comes by default. Next up is another psychological event, and that's called the aha moment. And we all heard in our early days in our career about the aha moment. And this is the moment where the customer feels delight about a certain things in the product. This is actually taking it from a very different angle. For every product, there is a moment where customers get hooked to your product or to your digital experience and actually makes it as a default choice. As an example, on X, Twitter, formerly, they have identified through the data that new customers, newly registered on X, gets them to follow 50 people or 50 accounts in order for them to get hooked on the platform. And this is where the majority of the efforts of X is to promote their algorithms into their interests and to make sure that they hit this aha moment. This is the moment where they actually get hooked to your product and they convert it from just being curious about your product into an obsession and a habit. This is very common in social networks. Yeah, I think you will relate to it a lot in social networks. So for me, it was also unraveling, like how this is actually my day-to-day. And now I can understand why these recommendations come up, why these people come up, especially in accounts like X. And next, with a show of hand, while browsing, shopping on social networks, do you find yourself like drifting, like تسرحوا, you go somewhere else? And it is a known psychological event. You simply lose attention. You don't recall why was I here? And this is actually a psychological event, and it happens specifically while interacting with technology. It has been scientifically proven that in my first interaction with a mobile application or a page, the magic number of 10 seconds, if nothing happens between the first click and 10 seconds, actually the attention of the people gets drifted now. And really drift. So the customer can bounce, can go do somewhere else, can open another mobile application, can do something else really. Product designers, product managers, they really know that this is going on with the customers. And this is why these tactics from UX standpoints have been delivered to us at the surface. It is not just to entertain the customer, it's really to give them the feel and to give any interaction for the customer so they don't lose them. The customer won't bounce, the customer won't put the application on the background. It is actually, simply put, if the screen doesn't move, my attention will move. So it needs to move somehow. This is where the hover over states happened, the easy loading happens, and a very, very creative loading indicators. So you can imagine why someone put a lot of effort in designing this very nice loading indicator. It's because of this, because the more, if you see something interacting, you will not, the chances of you drifting is a lot lower. This one, I like this one a lot. A lot of creativity here. And simply the loading indicator will work. But the more creative you are, the more engaged your front-facing customers will be. Also, again, to the example of Netflix, they actually use this and that. So they're giving the customer the feel that something is going on, and in labor, that we're doing effort. So it's an animation or an interaction plus effort that's put into this. So Netflix is now a great thing. It is great. I'm speaking about the impression that they also deliver. طبعا we all feel that social proofing is really important. Social proofing, we as human beings, at the end of the day, we want social proofing. Yani, as an example, the first thing that you look at when you buy a product, how many reviews were on that product, how many people saw this product. It gives another feeling that 10 people are now buying this product. It gives another feeling that it's okay, it's widely liked, it's widely used. And here, طبعا, in social networks, the first thing that you look at, how many followers, gives a correlation على طول that it's a trustworthy account or an entertaining account that I want to look at. And this is where the ratings and reviews are important. Test freaks on Google Maps, this is why they do effort in crowdsourcing this information so that they allow the customers to feel that they're part of a crowd or a tribe that are making similar decisions. So as an example here, if we take a pause here into your product decisions in the future, it is social proofing, like integrating something like test freaks for the customer recommendations or the customer reviews on a certain product. So it's really important to really add to the credibility of a certain SKU or a product that's being listed in your account. And at the end of the day, will unleash the potential of this SKU. Doesn't necessarily hit a certain conversion rate at a point in time, but it will give it another level of potential. And this is from content management and experience management standpoint. A little bit of content updates hits really into psychological things that the customer feels. So these are two pills. One is called pain relief and one is called lower back pain relief. And one will always be more relatable than the other. And it's just a small generosity, not overwhelming generosity, but just a small specificity that helps a lot the customer in making their own decisions. If you A/B test them, you'll definitely find very different results. And this one is one of my favorites. It is, with a show of hands, how many of you have seen this screen before? Yeah. Okay, so if you don't see it clearly, this is the you're in a quiet mode notification that Instagram very generously offers to us because we need to sleep. So, so why do you think would Instagram actually be very generous in telling you that it's now for you to sleep, you need some quality sleep? Is it because they're nice people? So we all agree it's not because of that. It's actually because of another psychological event, a little bit of an internal conflict. It's called cognitive dissonance. So Instagram is very aware of that people are now trying to be mentally healthier. They want to sleep better. They want less screen time, less addiction on the social media. So this platform and a lot of other platforms don't want you to make your own decision on your own. And like an example, I will delete Instagram. I will, before I sleep with 3-4 hours, I will not open social media. They don't want you to make your decisions on your own. So they will take them for you. So now you trust that Instagram when they feel that it's hitting your night or your sleep time. You now trust, okay, I will close Instagram now. So they are actually managing their own uptime and their own open rates in a way that is not controlled by you. They are controlled by them. So they chose the window whereby you can now close Instagram, but they're giving you the sense and feel that they're actually doing for you because they care about your wellness. And this is very relatable so that the customer doesn't feel this cognitive dissonance. And dissonance, by the way, if you look up its meaning, it's actually that the harmony in the musical instruments, like in Nashar, like the music notes are not going along with each other. And by this here, we are referring to what the customer values and actually what the customer acts upon. So I value my screen time and I value my sleep, but my actions are actually very habitual on the social media that it's not in harmony with what I believe. And subconsciously, we feel irritated by this. So here, Instagram is taking care of this for us. It's not bad. It's a tactic. They're just smart. And next up is content blindness. I think very often in real life, when you're very used to a certain billboard or a certain advertisement, you don't notice it anymore, even in our homes. And this also happens in our interaction with digital platforms or the front-facing platforms. If you're used to something being in a certain place, you hardly notice it anymore. You'll also find, by the way, in retail shops like Zara, H&M, and the like, you'll find them more often than not like changing where things are. So you don't just get used to where they are. And this is also very, very recommended in front-facing e-commerce and shopping experiences in specific. In summary, repetition makes the content really invisible. We don't notice it anymore. And this is very obvious because, as an example, in YouTube ads are very predictable. You don't notice the ad itself. You just wait for it to get old. So, because it's very predictable. So, how Instagram again addresses something like this is that if this is a photo, if this is a post with 4 photos, you've already seen the first one in your impressions. When you go visit your feed again, they will actually recommend for you the second photo. They will not recommend for you the first photo again, so you don't skip the post. And this is actually coming from this one because they know that if we don't do that, the customer will miss the whole post. And next is, I'm giving you very briefly, the source is very rich in case studies and in examples and in product applications and how this relates to actually product metrics and growth metrics. So I would highly recommend that you guys subscribe to the source and make it like a go-to. It has a lot also of cheat sheets, like how to design for different industries, different domains. It's really interesting. Next is context craving. And this is directly relational to the sensitivity of the situation that the customer is at now. So as an example, on our social media presence, we care a lot about what people will see based on our actions, especially that now you are muting someone or blocking someone or leaving a group. You want to see what the customer will know. So here, while the customer is taking an action on WhatsApp, that they want to mute the notifications. So this is context sharing from WhatsApp to the users, telling them that participants will not know that you have muted this application. And you don't have to do this all the time, but you need to be wary from experience standpoint and from product standpoint, where are the situations that the customer will feel that it is sensitive, and give them correlational context. So as an example, these are two very different examples on how and when to apply this and that. On Amazon, the customer really wants a very short, efficient experience. So the context here is a little bit of much lower priority than if the customer is making a decision on social media or on a health insurance. You need more context and you need more assurance. So here, our roles from product and experience standpoints, we need to understand the sensitivity and what really the customer will feel before that they will take this action. And on what basis will they take the decision? And then you relate the context accordingly. And here is the what they call the visible lifeboats. The visible lifeboats is actually assuring in real life and assuring طبعا in digital experiences. So if you are on a boat, it's very assuring to see a lifeboat, literally. It's very assuring. Just knowing it's there makes us feel okay. And we hope you don't use it. We don't even think that we will use it. It's just assuring. You're in a safe position. Here, the psychological benefit is really high. The use of the utility is not so high. It's actually really low. But the psychological benefit here is really high. So for product leadership and for executives, you can also always relate to also the psychological benefit of having this and how this will relate to the trust and the brand and how it will trust, the assurance of the brand and the love of the brand in itself. This is one of the journeys that can be hardly related to ROI and analytics and the conversions that and the sales reflections and so on. It is highly on the soft side of the KPIs, the trust in the brand and the assurance that this is really important for the customer to know that we are on top of things. This is why Netflix makes sure that cancel anytime while they promote the registration. And this is why also Intercom started integrating that speak to a live chat at any point in time. Now they won't feel the maze, they won't feel that they need to do effort. Just know that it's there, and they know that the bot is there for optimization. So I want this, I will get this. If I want this, I will get this. So just knowing it there makes people feel safer. Last, and this will be actually the closing. By the way, I would love to hear your thoughts, and I would love to hear, if you have any inspirations or any interactions of that sort. But last, the best user experience isn't just smooth. It's assuring. It's reassuring, right? So this is why a lot of brands are just loved because they work, they do effort to connect and relate to the customers who are using them. Again, this is the source for credit's sake. And this is all that I wanted to tell you today. I'm open to questions. And if you'd like to share, if someone would like to share also a very interesting encounter that they had from product experience or product standpoint, please share. هتجيب واحد؟
شكرا ايمان على السبيتش. يعني اتعلمت كتير. حابب اسالك سؤال كده في بالي كده. let's say مثلا انت بتفتحي انستجرام او بريكفاست جعانه مثلا عايز تاكلي حاجه، بس دايما الابلكيشنز دي بتبقى bombarded by notifications او بتبقى عايزه ان هي caught your attention to a point that you forget what you're here for اصلا. Do you have a metric for this? Do you have some way of not being so polarizing to the user انك انت تخرجه بره الكونتكست اللي هو جاي عشان let's say مثلا you're opening تيك توك او انستجرام فعلا ونسيت انت جاي هنا ليه؟ How do you measure that? Or what's the gray zone that you can avail having functionality and having the catching the person attention?
I would actually call it not a gray zone. I'd actually call it a sweet spot.
Yes, exactly.
It's very wise and it's very smart of the brands to monetize the traffic where the traffic needs to be monetized. Like as an example, if I have a page that's getting the traction of millions of people then I need to monetize this, right? It's all about getting the sweet spot about what the customer needs at a point in time. Do they have the luxury of time at this point in time or not? And this comes by metrics. So as an example, if you put notifications or ads at a point that is sensitive to the customer, before you do so, what we encourage is that you see where the sweet spot is coming. When I added this, did a lot of the traffic bounce, or did the traffic make impressions on the advertisements? So it's about always reading the data before and after till you get the sweet spot that is not compromising the product, but it's also monetizing the traffic.
Like, can it be time sensitive, for example, or how do you deal with it?
Can you come again?
Can it be time sensitive? يعني مثلا let's say I'm hungry after 12 a.m. ممكن أنا ساعتها lessen the notifications or lessen the bombardment of notifications.
Of course, but data will tell. يعني at the end of the day, the data will tell what's you. يعني track as much as possible and make patterns of the customer behavior versus their bounce, and the data will tell you what exactly to do and when.
Okay, thank you.
Sure, of course.
شكرا ليكي. انا عندي فولو اب بسيط، يعني ايه الفاين لاين من trusting data و trusting humans، لان data can be interpreted how the data teams are biased to interpret it. يعني ده ممكن يبقى عندي داتا اللي احمد بيحب ياكل في الوقت الفلاني، بس انا لا، ده مش الحقيقي. يعني انا حابب ان انا provide my own input for this. ساعات موضوع البوش نوتيفيكيشن ده بحس ان هو overwhelming، ان هو لانه انا جزء كبير من الابس اللي هي فرونت اند هو بيدي احساس ان انت you are here to purchase what you want، مش you are here to ان حد يبيع لك حاجات. ف usually selling is very hard but purchasing is reassuring، ان انا جاي اختار بنفسي واجيب الحاجه. ف مين بيعمل الفاين لاين بتاع حاجه زي كده ما بين ان انا بانتربريت داتا وبين ان انا ask people؟
يعني from our own experience, here are two teams are working together. These are the data team that analyzes the past. There is also the growth team that would analyze for you the future, that would see potential of the future. And then there will be the product and experience teams who would actually implement experiments that will yield the machine learning building. And then new data will come up from you as a customer. New data will come up from you that will be integrated to the algorithms, and then it will come up to the recommendations that will come up to you in your next journeys. So actually 3 parts in the equation here.
ماشي عشان وقت الناس بس. Okay, we can have a follow up later. Thank you.
ده حد تاني؟ بس طيب.
Hi. So follow-up question regarding notifications. أنا شخص notifications يعني بيوتروني جدا and I generally have them off except for super important things مثلا calendar invites وهكذا. دلوقتي يعني especially when you consider بقى these apps يعني personally and I don't have the data to back this up but I feel in I just feels like I'm being sold to وبيبقى في too many notifications from too many apps I turn it off. In light of مثلا what you showed my Instagram مع حتة sort of mental health and the screen time والحاجات دي, has the strategy regarding notifications and like trying to اللي هو أزن على اليوزر changed relative إن أنا دلوقتي I'm competing with all the other notifications versus giving the user يعني the context and the ability to make their own decision? Has this changed over time, and if so يعني how would you approach this as a strategy when building products or features أو هكذا؟
Yeah, 100%. بص أنا بحب السؤال ده جدا. I really like notification strategies, right? Now we always use matrices صح؟ الماتريسز دي بتقول how important is it for the customer to receive this notification? And then this is a question that is answered for because there is a promo, there is a mass promo, or because مثلا customer didn't pay an installment and now they will have a penalty. صح؟ There are 2 levels of severity. One is actually promotional, it's a comms, and one is في عواقب, في consequence. لو customer ما عرفش المعلومة دي هيبقى في consequence. So this is the part in the matrix, and then you decide on it the channels whereby the customer will receive this notification and the frequency whereby they will also receive this notification. As an example, لو الراجل عليه قسط وما دفعوش وجي قال لك أنا كنت عامل بلوك للبوش notifications، أنت ليه بتبعت لي حاجة زي كده، حاجة مهمة زي دي ليه بتبعتها لي في push notifications؟ Then you in design need to very, very sensitive information, not promotion, not communication. You need to send it as an example through SMS, because this is straight through هتوصل الانبوكس بتاعه and there is legal evidence, right? But if you are promoting, it's a targeted promo, you can have the choice. How is it important to you as a brand, and how is it relevant to the customer? If it's really important, then you send it again through an SMS, but you manage the frequency to be different and the window to be different, right? But however, if it's not that important, then you could just send it to the mass once and see how it goes.
But do you see the strategy regarding using notifications as something that has existed since smartphones? Do you see this changing in the near future, إن هو that there will not be reliance on notifications, يبقى في حاجة تانية، ولا do you see it يعني it's still something that we should
100%. It's a channel, and from my own experience and from my own experience, it's being used by 5 to 10% of the customers. If you ask anyone around you, if they are enabling or disabling the push notifications, they'll be in the same boat as you. They just want to get annoyed. They don't want to get annoyed. They want to use the phone on a need basis, right? You don't want to be bombarded with notifications. You want to choose to know. You don't want to know. You don't want the information to be interruptedly coming to you. So definitely it's changing. So understanding that this channel now has its chance between a 5 to 10% adoption, this will help you craft the right strategy while communicating to the customers.
You mentioned the chatbot and how يعني it's in a bad way, or how AI does not understand you. But in some ways يعني في chatbot it's يعني it gives you, it's always available, or in some websites you're looking for information and chatbot always gives you information. فهو there's like an approach I saw in Saudi. It's like it's application, there's like a chatbot, but via WhatsApp, or like a human being is doing what chatbot does 24/7. It replaces chatbot but in a human way. فهو يعني my question is يعني I understand how chatbot sometimes can be hard in the interface and does not give you what you want, but how in a way can you like do the approach of giving the both يعني the best of both worlds of being always available and giving you the approach that's not always AI and in a human way?
Most at the end of the day, all what we're suggesting today is that not having it as a one-sided revolution. Like, don't rely on the tech and don't think of it only from optimization and routing. And this was the analysis of the frequently asked questions to the customers. So this is how I will design the conversation flow of the chatbot. We also highly suggest that you understand the customer emotion while seeking any of these routes in the chatbot. And then you will design it more in a more smart and more relevant way. You will give the exit routes to the customer at the right time. And you will optimize for tech and the human, like manual operation, also in a smart way that doesn't compromise what the customer feels about the brand. It's actually very inspiring in Amazon. So if you can see the Amazon example, you relate to it a lot. It's 100% automated, maybe 99% automated, but the customers will feel that they're understood, they are in a safe position, the tech infrastructure, I can rely on it, and I will not feel annoyed.
Okay, nice.
First of all, thanks for your speech. It was insightful for me. So, can I summarize the speech that UX dark patterns or not? I think this affects undergo to dark patterns of UX. So, am I right or wrong?
Yeah, to be honest, I wouldn't put this frame on it. It's I wouldn't put that it's a dark pattern, because dark pattern gives us the feeling that it is something that's not healthy for us. Although it is healthy for us, but it depends on your choice as a brand on how you'd implement it. We are human beings. We have the same interactions. We have the same science. So what the source is suggesting, or what I'm suggesting as well, is that you need to understand, to integrate your understanding of what the human feels to your design decisions and your product prioritization decisions, and not only making it from only the angle of sales and gross. Integrate. This is the recommendation here. But maybe there are dark patterns, but I wouldn't call it that way. They just understand people. They understand what the people will feel at a point in time. They will not leave them alone, anxious. They will take decisions on their behalf. And we're always wiser than them. So we always get to have the choices to follow along or do different choices, right? If you had again, and then we have almost one last question. Yeah. In order to be on time.
شكرا.
Hi, Iman. Thank you so much على السيشن.
Okay.
البوينت اللي really stuck with me هي في حتة that repetitive or repeatedness make things invisible. ده عشان أنا شغالة على حاجة قريبة ليها دلوقتي، بس أنا actually جي سؤال في بالي إنه ما أنا برضو مش عايزة affect الكور experience بتاعت الكاستمر مثلا لو متعود عليها، بس في نفس الوقت لما شفت البوينت دي قلت or should I يعني مثلا فإيه الماتريكس أو يعني البوينتس مثلا إن أنا I should put into consideration إن أنا أبتدي أخد الكويستشن ده إن أنا maybe I should actually change this now for the better of the customer experience and so on.
تخيلي معايا spectrum like zero change and radical change. Find the sweet spot في النص that will keep the customer noticing what you're offering to them without actually radically changes because you can't afford to risk it, right? You can change a copy, you can change a thumbnail, you can change an image, you can add an animation, you can add a highlight, you can add a color, you can add a different banner format. You have the spectrum here. So, but the takeout here is that if it remains the same over a period of time without any change, people will definitely miss it. Science.
طب انتي رأيك ايه في لو التشينج ده حصل في حاجة في الكور اكسبيرينس، like for example مثلا انتي متعودة الفيفوريت بوتن دايما في whatever في ابلكيشن اكس مثلا هو فوق مثلا، وهم دي حاجة من الأساسية جيت غيرت. what ايه your take on this يعني؟
طيب في there is the textbook answer and there is the experience answer. Okay, I'll tell you both and you choose. The textbook answer tells you need to A/B test it. Okay, you need to go you put it to a focus group of users and A/B test it, and then the focus group of users will tell you, oh, we hate it, we like because we have recency bias, we have familiarity bias, I want to see things how they are. أنا ما صدقت أساسا أنا اتعودت على بتاعك. Okay, this is the textbook answer. The action that the answer that I really like is that it really needs to come by experiment. You need to experiment it. And it needs to be, you need to be patient with the experiment, right? Because there will be friction at the beginning. But if this friction over a period of time starts improving, then you will notice. If it starts exponentially improving, you will also notice, right? So you need to experiment. You need, you can't predict sometimes, because from the examples that we're seeing, now we have been using Instagram, Facebook, we have been using Amazon, and we have encountered very, very radical changes in their main navigation. And their main navigation, like from side menu to tab bar navigation, we have witnessed radical changes. We tolerated with the product and we're now used to it and we don't want to come back. خالص. There needs to be patience and there needs to be belief. There needs to be science also that it makes sense as an example for the thumbnail to be nearer here than there. It makes sense for the most used, for the least used icons, but they're actually very interesting to be elsewhere at a point in time. We will need to test it. You and the whole organization needs to have a little bit of a capacity for experiments, right? صراحة, this is the experience answer that I would recommend.
Thank you.
Sure, of course. Thank you so much. Thanks again, Prdkt.
Thank you, Angela. Thank you so much.